Hello there, a very good evening. It is actually a very beautiful evening out here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I hope it's beautiful too, where you are. It's good to be back on the beat and in the driving seat of the news with an extra touch. Tonight, we begin with good news for residents of the extravos area of Delta State, as the Federal Executive Council says, let there be light there. Tomorrow, Osun undecided will surely be decided. We'll give you an update, plus other political happenings around the country. I guess you know where the president and his spouse are. In faraway New York, attending the United Nations General Assembly. We'll brief you on what has been going on, plus the reaction to the president's speech at the General Assembly. Also on the extra package tonight, are heartwarming stories of development in agriculture, flood updates, skills acquisition, and teacher training. All these plus some business news and sports. Well, the outlook looks promising, so let's get started. I am Fatima Abbas Hassan, and it's News Extra. Now we begin with the good news from the Federal Executive Council meeting. More relief for communities around the extravos area of Delta State as the Federal Executive Council approves over $64 million for the supply of electricity to these communities. Over now to State House correspondent Gideon Ifade for more on this and other approvals by the Council at its Wednesday meeting in Abuja.
Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku, approached the council to seek approval for the award of contract for the supply of power to these communities around the extravos areas.
And today we approached the council to approve $64,235,644 to fund two lots, one for the supply of the power itself, which is building the plant, all the engineering services are required to do that, and then also distributing the power within the immediate community or series of communities that are affected. The council was gracious enough to approve that.
Minister of Water Resources Suleiman Adamu says the federal government will not lower its guard in its efforts at protecting the people from more flooding disasters and providing adequate amenities for those affected, despite the drop in water level.
As at Saturday, the water level in Lokoja had dropped by 6 centimeters, and it's still going down. The water level in Lagodam in Cameroon is also going down. So hopefully the worst is over, except if there is some unforeseen and unprecedented amount of rainfall.
The ministry got the council's approval for the revised estimated total cost for the complete rehabilitation of the Cham Dam and development of 100 hectares irrigation at Balanga local government area of Gombe State.
Of 612 million to now bring the contract sum to 1.44 billion. The original contract.
Apologize for the abrupt end of that report. Now, when world leaders meet, regional or international issues dominate the discourse. And so it was with the 73rd United Nations General Assembly in New York, the United States. But what were the burning issues and solutions in advancing development? It's over now to Talatu Ezirike.
Violent extremism, insurgency, prolonged conflict, illicit financial flows, and corruption affect global peace and security. The consequences, many say, are terrible, as no nation grows in a state of anarchy and political or economic instability. President Muhammadu Buhari at the United Nations General Assembly raised the need for more commitment to global peace and security, as well as the promotion of gender balance and fighting corruption.
It is in our collective interest to cooperate in tracking illicit financial flows, investigate and prosecute corrupt individuals and entities, and repatriate such funds to their countries of origin.
A language well understood.
Cross-border initiatives and sub-regional and regional initiatives are very critical in interdiction of the flow of arms and finances and the movement of fighters. If we don't do something about it, corruption will destroy this country. And I think Mr. President is right by taking the fight theoretically, philosophically, even emotionally to the United Nations.
Well, many believe that walking the talk should be taken seriously for efficient results and good governance. Talati Ezerike, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari's speech at the 73rd United Nations General Assembly has continued to elicit reactions as guests on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria say the speech was appropriate as it captures major global issues affecting many countries. They stated that the leadership of Nigeria and Africa have the capacity to surmount their challenges, tapping from the expertise of the global community. Patricia Esami Luba has that report.
The president's speech indicated or gave the signal to the world that Nigeria mattered. Whenever we spoke, the world should listen.
Gives you opportunity to talk to the world. You cannot be looking for investors if investors do not have confidence in your peace and security.
The former permanent secretary of Ministry of Foreign Affairs and former Nigerian deputy permanent representative to the United Nations pointing out the benefits of Nigeria's participation at the global stage. Addressing world leaders at the 73rd United Nations General Assembly, President Muhammadu Buhari emphasized on key priorities that affects Nigeria directly, which include insecurity, repatriation of stolen funds, shrinkage of Lake Chad Basin, irregular migration and human trafficking, among others.
Corruption within countries and illicit flow of funds across national boundaries have huge negative impact on the stability, peace and economic prospect of millions in developing countries.
Special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, highlighted on the issues of shared responsibility among the global community and affected countries.
The desired progress will be made, then each part must play its role. The country involved, the personnel involved, and the international community through the United Nations. So it's a consensus that shared responsibility will take the world to get it.
The guests gave assurance that global peace is achievable when world leaders dedicate themselves to true peace and security.
We will see greater cooperation in the area of fight against corruption, the need to repatriate illegal funds, especially Nigeria's quest to ensure that funds that have been discovered, judicial process are fast-tracked by various countries where these funds are stashed so that Nigeria can benefit.
There is need to strengthen the United Nations with the expansion of the Security Council, and more permanent members and more non-permanent members are brought on board. Everyone has the burden of the world to share among ourselves, and thereby we have a safer world.
They expressed optimism that the international community needs political will and commitment to canvass for peace and sustainable development across the globe. In Abuja, Patricia Esemi-Luba, NTA News.
With less than 24 hours to the rerun of the Osun State governorship election in 7 polling units, eligible voters have been urged to conduct themselves peacefully and shun vote buying. Resident Electoral Commissioner Olusegun Agbaje said this in an interview with Adebola Brooksland Sunday in Osogbo, the state capital.
The difference between PDP and APC, who are major contenders in the main election, was far below the cancelled or rejected votes, which is the reason INEC could not outrightly declare any of the candidates winner. Restriction on the use of mobile phones and some electronic gadgets around the voting points is one of the strategies put in place by INEC to curb vote buying.
Since we are not allowed them to show their ballot paper to outsiders, which is an electoral offense on its own, people now tend to now take camera inside. After casting their ballot, they will now snap the paper and take it to wherever they are going to collect money. Because if you don't stop it this year, in this election in Osun, we are going to be in serious trouble in 2019 general elections.
As political parties strategize for the rerun, civil society organizations urged candidates to remember the peace agreement they all signed.
Please, the pact you made a month ago, don't let it peter out. It must continue for the next 3-4 days because this is the most dangerous period.
Although the two major contenders triggered the rerun, but the ballot papers to be used will not be different from the original one, with the symbol of 48 political parties on it. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
And still on politics, the Zamfara State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has held a grand rally in honor of presidential, governorship and other aspirants in Gusau, the state capital. The rally, which took place amidst 1,000 party supporters at Gusau airstrip, was characterized by endorsing the candidature of President Muhammadu Buhari and formal present action of the aspirants seeking for various positions at both the federal and state levels. Speaking on the occasion, Governor Abdulaziz Yari informed the gathering that members of the APC in the state have endorsed the candidature of Muhammadu Buhari. The grand rally was graced by APC supporters from 40 local government areas of the state. A combined delegation of the International Republican Institute and the National Democratic Institute currently in Nigeria have reiterated commitment to the improvement of democratic institutions in the country. This was during the Institute's visit to the People's Democratic Party Secretariat in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf was there and now reports.
Members of the delegation from the International Republican Institute and the National Democratic Institute are not election observer groups. They are in the country to gather first-hand information on the experiences and challenges of Nigeria's electoral processes. Leader of the delegation, Vemba Dizolele from the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies, Washington, D.C., says as the 2019 general elections draw nearer, there is the need for concerted efforts in deepening democratic tenets in Nigeria, pointing out that if Nigeria gets the process right, the entire African continent will also be on the right path. The national chairman of the PDP, Uche Secondus, represented by the deputy national chairman South, Yemi Akinwumi, promised the party's resolve to remain loyal to constituted authority. Meanwhile, the Southwest Zonal Chairman of the PDP, Dr. Edi Olafeso, at a media briefing, restates the party's readiness for the September 27th governorship rerun election in Osun State. At another media briefing, the Center for Peace and Environmental Justice restates confidence in the ability of Independent National Electoral Commission in executing its constitutional responsibilities.
INEC have done well for us as a civil society organization.
The center implores political parties to abide by the Electoral Act and political parties' guidelines at all times. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
And as the APC primary elections draw nearer, consultations, modalities and alignments are being made to have a better and acceptable governorship candidate in Adamawa State. The recent one is the decision to step down by one of the aspirants, Marcus Gundiri, for Dr. Mahmoud Halilu. Ladibala takes up the report from here.
As the primaries of the All Progressive Congress draw nearer, the wind of alignment, strategizing and mobilizing relevant stakeholders and members for an alternative candidate with widespread acceptance that will give the party edge in the 2019 general elections is mounting higher in Adamawa State. To this end, a grassroots and renowned governorship aspirant, Marcus Gunduri, takes the lead by letting go his ambition in support of Dr. Mahmoud Halilu, who he described as the man of the moment with requisite qualities to take Adamawa State out of the woods of underdevelopment. Former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir David Lawal, the initiator of the movement, said APC in Adamawa State cannot afford to allow the 2015 mistake to repeat itself with all the setback the state has recorded, hence the resolve to ensure that the best is given opportunity. Dr. Mahmoud Halilu thanked Marcus Gunduri for the show of patriotism and assured all stakeholders of changing the narratives about Adamawa State for better if given the chance.
We did not throw our hearts into the ring to contest this election, either for fun, or to be called a governor, or to amass wealth, or acquire houses. This is born out of sheer commitment to uplifting the standard of living of all.
In Eola, Ladibala, NTA News.
The federal government says it is adopting a reviewed performance management system policy to address the identified gaps and inadequacies of the current system, with a view to having a civil service that is at the center of delivery of public goods and critical infrastructure. The head of civil service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, said this to course 27 participants of the National Defense College in Abuja. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello has the details.
While the Nigerian civil service may not be where it should be, given its checkered history, it is definitely not stagnant.
The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, taking participants of Course 27 down memory lane and the various reforms in the Nigerian civil service from the 18th century till date. Part of strategies adopted by the federal government is staff training and retraining, particularly in emerging workplace technologies and practices to further reposition the workforce for higher productivity, confidence, and competence.
With these ongoing reforms, I am very optimistic that the Nigerian civil service, as we know it, is poised for better service delivery that would contribute to the national development efforts of our great nation.
The EPIC program, that's the Efficiency, Productivity, Incorruptible, and Citizen-Centered program of the current administration. And I believe this, if properly applied, executed, and implemented, will result in a significant improvement in the ongoing effort to reposition the civil service of the Federation.
The overall objective of the federal government is the enthronement of a civil service that is appropriately motivated, disciplined, skilled, and accountable. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Nigeria is exploring the possibility of establishing a financial institution dedicated to providing the needed support for free, comprehensive, and quality medical treatment for victims of serious health conditions. This is part of the sustained efforts aimed at saving lives, mitigating financial burden on the sick, and creating a favorable condition for socio-economic development. President Muhammadu Buhari announced this at a high-level meeting on tuberculosis held on the margin of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the United States. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports that a political declaration crucial towards ending tuberculosis was adopted at the meeting.
The high-level meeting is not only the most significant political engagement ever held on tuberculosis, but also the biggest and best opportunity towards accelerating efforts at ending the disease, as well as reaching all affected people with prevention and care. With the theme, United to End Tuberculosis, the meeting has one major objective: to secure the commitment of world leaders for a coordinated global response that will lead to substantial increase in financial resources for tuberculosis and save millions of lives from premature deaths. With Nigeria ranking 7th amongst the high tuberculosis-burdened countries globally and second in Africa, President Muhammadu Buhari described the landmark event as appropriate and timely as the pain of the disease and its consequences on the health and socio-economic development is on the rise. The task before the world leaders, he said, is to do whatever it takes urgently towards stopping the ravaging disease.
Nigeria welcomes the adoption of this political declaration, especially its relevant provisions which commit to provide diagnosis and treatment to 40 million people, including 3.5 million children between 2018 and 2022. I am confident that other commitments made under this important documentation, including those on development of new vaccines, drugs, and community-based health services, will further guarantee success in our collective fight against the disease.
Nigeria, the president said, is pursuing with renewed vigor its National Action Plan on Tuberculosis Eradication 2015 to 2020, structured on 5 priority areas, including robust public-private mix.
Our strategic plan is geared towards meeting the overall aims of providing Nigerians with universal access to high-quality, patient-centered prevention, as well as diagnosis and treatment services for tuberculosis and drug-resistant TB by 2020.
While calling on the global community to demonstrate renewed commitment to the political declaration on tuberculosis, President Buhari said Nigeria remains resolute in her efforts towards addressing institutional and societal challenges aimed at ending tuberculosis through the enhancement of strong multi-sectoral mechanisms. From New York, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, advocates for adequate mobilization of both human and material resources to effectively address the challenges of tuberculosis across the globe. Mrs. Buhari stated this during a reception organized in honor of TB survivors and other tuberculosis champions at the sideline event of the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir has more.
This is the gathering of all critical stakeholders in the fight against tuberculosis, comprising government and non-governmental organizations of over 20 countries from across the globe. The TB champions and ambassadors, TB survivors, and the international non-governmental organizations such as the UNAID and the UNFPA. The program, which was convened under the auspices of the global body of Stop TB Partnership, was meant not only to celebrate TB survivors and the donors for making it at this level of saving millions of lives across the globe, but to strengthen strategy in mitigating the impact of the epidemic. The wife of the president, who is also the TB Global Ambassador, used the opportunity to seek for a sustainable partnership and support to end tuberculosis.
Now the campaign will be more on stigmatization. People should go for the treatment instead of running away from the reality. And also we are going to commence a vigorous campaign on the, and also awareness. Despite the fact that it is free, people are still, being reluctant to come out and for the diagnosis. So we're going to work very hard in collaboration with the state government, with the governor's wives, to use their NGOs as a platform to make sure that whoever coughs or have fever for more than 2 weeks should go for diagnosis.
TB survivors and other critical stakeholders from across the globe reaffirmed their determination in the fight.
We are looking into so many perspectives, looking at our ability to make diagnosis and find many of the missing persons with TB in Nigeria. Not only that, we declared last year as a year of accelerated TB case finding. We want to find all the cases. The treatment is free. TB is curable, and what we're also doing is to partner with the private sector.
The wife of the president expressed optimism that the deliberations of this gathering will mark the beginning of unprecedented and a unified movement towards ending tuberculosis the world over. In New York City, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
And back home, the emergency meeting over national minimum wage between the federal government and the organized labor has ended with both parties taking separate positions. While the organized labor insists on a nationwide warning strike starting from midnight of Wednesday due to what it calls failure of government to reconvene the tripartite minimum wage committee, the federal government's position is to reconvene the committee on the 4th of October. Correspondent Emmanuel Ayimiro reports that before the emergency meeting summoned this Wednesday by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, Labour has given a 14-day notice for government to reconvene the meeting or face strike action. Some wonder what will be the fate of Nigerians as federal government sets to concession silos. Yes, you heard me right. Don't go away as our correspondent brings us details of this and more on News Extra after the break.
Auntie K, how is Atlanta? I'm just getting ready for a photo shoot. Got my makeup on.
Hey Klaus, how you doing? How is Germany?
Hold on, 1 minute.
I haven't seen the containers yet. Oh, they are still in India.
Hello, Mama. Guess who's online?
Hey Rajesh, what time is it in India?
How is South Africa, Mama?
Aren't you spending too much on calls now?
Don't you worry about it, Mama, because with Glow, you only need to pay 200 Naira a month and you get up to 85% discount on all calls to over 200 international destinations.
See, I'm going to let you guys sort this out. Right?
Time for the photo shoot. Love you. Bye.
Where's the photographer?
Hey, my friend. How are things going in Canada?
Glow International Call Slasher. Pay 200 Naira monthly fee to get up to 85% discount to call over 200 international destinations. Dial *777# to choose your plan. The largest data network. Glow. Grandmasters of data.
I need a product that I can really trust to restore my skin's natural glow. Nivea Natural Fairness Body Lotion containing unique berry extracts and UV protection to restore your natural glow and care for your skin.
Hello, here to pick up your sister? Mommy? Wow, such beautiful glowing skin.
Reveal your natural glow with Natural Fairness Body Lotion from Nivea.
Since 1971, Nigeria's foremost human capital development institution, the Industrial Training Fund, ITF, has been at the forefront of equipping Nigerians with skills for national growth. Today's ITF has repositioned and refocused its programs, forging new partnerships locally and internationally to effectively deliver on its mandate. With 37 area offices and 5 industrial skills training centers across the country, ITF is pushing to reduce unemployment by providing relevant technical and vocational skills for employability and entrepreneurship in diverse trades and crafts. Whether you're a public or private organization seeking to improve the skills of your personnel or an individual looking to acquire skills that will increase your chances of employment or even to help start your own business, today's ITF has a program for you. Speak to us today. Contact our area offices nationwide or visit our website www.itf.gov.ng. ITF, developing the nation's human resource.
The ultra-modern world-class 400-bed Abuja multi-system hospital at Advocacy commences full operations on the 1st of October 2018. Available equipment and services are surgery, medicine, pediatrics, obstetrics and gynecology, community medicine, physiotherapy, dentistry, laboratory, health informatics, 5 modular operating theaters, critical care unit and anesthesia, surgical procedures, mammography, ultrasound, diagnostic center. Delivery unequal. 1st to 31st October, free consultations. 15th to 31st October, 5% discount on medication. quality service at affordable cost. Upward, ending foreign medical tourism.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
Ever since he could hold the bat, Charles wanted to play like his big brother. Victor had skills that matched the best in the land. Never mind, little brother, drink your Dano milk and keep practicing. So that is what he did. And step by step, glass by glass, the boy grew in spirit and strength. Drink your Dano milk and be strong.
Also available in Dano Cool Cow, Dano Slim, and Dano Flavored Milk. Choose Dano. Choose goodness.
You're welcome back. We're glad to have you back with us on News Extra. Now, every country is expected to have in stock enough food reserve to take care of its citizens for at least 3 months at any point in time in case of emergency. This has been the recommendation of the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, of the United Nations. And now that the federal government is to concession her silos, how does the government intend to store food in case of emergency? What are the socio-economic benefits of the concessioning? These are the questions Musa Baba Aliyu went out to find answers to.
The government has successfully established 32 grain reserve silos in 32 states across the federation. 7 of the 33 silos are 100,000 tons capacities, and this one in Kwali, Abuja, is one of them. The 100,000 tons capacity silos are located in Abuja, Bayelsa, Borno, and Ekiti, as well as Imo, Kebbi, and Zamfara states. Sule Haruna is the director in charge of grain reserves in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. I asked him if all the 33 silos are functional.
To say that yes, you see, if you look at these silos we are talking about, 1.3 million metric tons of silos, it would take the ministry well over 93 billion naira to stock these silos. And of course, we all know that that is far above our usual annual budgetary provision in the ministry.
This therefore brought about concession of 20 of the 33 silos.
The government intends to keep 6 of these silo complexes that will be dedicated for our national reserve. And with this, I want to really tell you that yes, the ones we are keeping is enough for our reserve stock.
The federal government is expected to generate over 18 billion naira in the concession. These include upfront payment of 1.4 billion naira, fixed fee 4 billion naira, and profit share of estimated 13.3 billion naira.
Government is also going to save about 120 billion naira that ordinarily could have been expended in the maintenance of these silos. So all these are huge advantages that will accrue to the government in the policy of concessioning these silos to the private sector.
With the investigation carried out, coupled with the records of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Nigeria remains food secured, courtesy of the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. However, agriculture economists insist that storage of food for rainy day remains paramount.
Now, many of us believe that the bee is a dangerous insect that can sting with poisonous venom that could lead to death. You could be right, but I believe you also know that the same bee produces something we so much cherish: honey. Now, over 3,000 Africans from 31 countries are currently in Abuja to celebrate the insect bee and the honey it produces. Musa Baba Aliyu tells us more.
Yes, bees can be described as dangerous insects that is not only disturbing with annoying sounds, they are armed with venom that could lead to death when they strike.
So if you understand the bees and you understand their flight path and you understand their behavior, you can actually approach them without being stung. If they feel threatened, that's the only time they react.
The insect, however, is responsible for continuous living of human beings on the planet Earth.
We need the bee for agriculture, for our grains, for our horticulture. We need the bee for the flowers we like to keep around our environment, because the bee is the most natural and the most devoted worker on the farm to whom we pay no salary.
Honey is another benefit man gets from bees, which is a source of food, medicine, and sweetener for beverages.
You have the beeswax that comes from the combs, of the bees, and this is a huge market. You also have bee venom, which has healing properties. It's said to, heal arthritis. It can be used for treatment of arthritis, and then other things.
It is because of the importance of bees and honey that delegates from 31 countries are in Abuja with a view to improving beekeeping production on the continent. It is all about beekeeping, honey and beeswax production for local and international markets. But the concerns of the federal government and agriculturists here is that despite the fact that Nigeria has the potential to produce over 20 million liters of honey, the country is, however, producing only 20 million liters annually. And that is why the federal government wants to use this opportunity to woo beekeepers to intensify efforts in the production of honey to meet local and international demand.
Government is formulating new policies to drive the developmental processes for the industry, as well as supporting capacity building of our beekeepers and processors.
The objective of the expo is to showcase African potential in honey production on the African continent. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And away from agricultural production, the Buhari administration has continued to win the hearts of people in Gombe State with its seemingly untiring efforts to see into the successful execution of the abandoned multi-billion naira Datinkowa hydroelectricity project. Ibrahim Jibril has an update on the project and its benefits not only to Nigeria but to the entire sub-region.
Abandoned for nearly 3 decades, the multi-billion naira Datinkowa hydropower project is a dream project becoming a reality. The project was re-awarded in 2006 but continue in a slow pace until the coming of the Buhari administration. No site engineer was on ground to speak to NTA News. However, we understand that the 40 megawatts capacity hydroelectricity project capable of generating enough power to the northeast sub-region is nearing completion. The Datinkowa Dam, with 2.8 billion cubic meters of water, is enough to generate the needed megawatts of hydroelectricity and water the 44,000 hectares of irrigatable land for food production. Electricity transmission expert Nasiru Jibrin said having additional 40 megawatts of electricity will no doubt help in reviving the nation's economy and improve living conditions of Nigerians.
If this project is completed, I'm telling you, we're going to add almost 40 megawatts into the system. It will not only benefit Gombe, but to the whole country as a whole.
Having lost hope in view of years of abandonment, people in Gombe State are more than ever before optimistic about the project. They applauded the Buhari administration for making the hydropower project a reality. In Gombe, Ibrahim Jibrin, NTA News.
With the 2012 flood experience in mind, Nigerians should be grateful that somehow the water level of the almighty Lagdo Dam in Cameroon did not get to the level where it will be released. But even without that, following excessive rainfall in some parts of the country, about 50% of farm crops have been destroyed in some communities of Karim Lamido and Lau local government area of Taraba State. Joseph Osun reports that thankfully too, there has been no reported case of loss of life as the water has started receding in the flooded areas.
Taraba is one among the 12 states the Nigerian Meteorological Agency predicted to experience flooding as a result of increasing rains and rising water levels. And indeed, flooding has already taken its toll on some communities in the state, especially those along the banks of the River Benue. Villages of the neighboring Lau and Karin Lamido local governments, such as Kabawa, Bandawa, Usmanu, Jen and Jempetel, are among the most affected. Large farmlands have been taken over by flood waters, and several crops, such as maize and rice, usually produced in large quantities in these areas, destroyed.
We could not even have a sleep because this is what we depend on to feed our family, and it was destroyed by water, so we are in problem.
A lot of people have been displaced. Over 80% of the total crops that would have been harvested have been washed away by the flood.
I intend immediately we resume on the 9th. I want to come up with a motion on how to tackle this perennial problem.
Before we came, there were flash floods. We are joining hands with them to do assessment of those areas to see the impact and what government can do, what the state has done, or what the state can do, so that we know the gaps.
With more rains expected, the agency advises communities along the River Benue to vacate the areas and move to the higher lands for safety. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound Utsen, NTA News.
Well, we know that flood disasters usually come with series of attendant consequences, ranging from displacements, destruction of lives and property, outbreak of epidemics, and hunger, among others. Over the years, the business of managing these consequences has been challenging due to overbearing effects of the disasters. In this special report, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu examines the 2018 flood disaster interventions by NEMA. The report.
Nigeria, like most parts of the world, are grappling with the effects of flooding that has continued to ravage most parts of the country. Geographically, Nigeria is situated in the valley, hence the constant flooding as the waters flow from the neighboring African countries, overflowing the dams and river banks. 12 states are designated with the highest risks of flooding in the 2018 predictions by the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. NEMA immediately convened an emergency stakeholders meeting and constituted 5 committees to visit the frontline state with a view to identifying flashpoint areas for possible evacuation and relocation of the residents. This is in addition to the sensitization visit to military formations in charge of search and rescue to remain on red alert for any eventuality. Although the 2018 flooding ravaged many communities with destruction of lives and property, farmlands washed away, the devastation, however, is less than what was experienced in 2012 flooding as reflected in the casualty chart. This is largely due to prompt intervention by NEMA with the reactivation of the search and rescue units of the military, deployment of food items and other relief materials, as well as water purification machines to avoid outbreak of epidemics. From the look of this water, you can tell how contaminated this water can be. But it will beat your imagination as to how effective the NEMA purification machine can be in purifying the flooded water safe for drinking. Let's look at the finished product of the purified water. This is the finished product of the purified water. According to NEMA officials, this water is safe for drinking. The federal government declared a state of a national disaster in 4 states of Niger, Kogi, Anambra, and Delta, while the remaining 8 states are kept under observation and ordered for procurement of foodstuff and other relief items to the tune of 3 billion naira. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, in company of the Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Mehaja, undertook an on-the-spot assessment of the flood-ravaged areas with a promise to compensate the victims.
And when the flood waters recede, we are able to offer some rehabilitation and some comfort in whatever way possible to those who have lost their farmlands and those who have lost their homes.
Thankfully, Lagdo Dam and other dams did not release water, and if they have, the situation would have been more devastating. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
And taking you back to the political scene, the Social Democratic Party SDP candidate in last Saturday's governorship election in Osun State, Chief Iyola Omishori, has agreed to work with the APC in tomorrow's rerun. The deal was sealed after a meeting between Chief Omishori and an APC team led by the chairman Adams Oshomale in Oshobo early Wednesday. In the APC entourage were governors Abiola Ajimobi, Abdullahi Ganduje, Ibukule Amosu of Oyo, Kano, and Ogun states, respectively. Also in the team was Governor-elect Dr. Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State and Minister of Information and Culture, Laye Mohammed. Still on News Extra, business and business-related stories. We'll be right back.
Discover the liquid freshness of Center Fresh chewing gum that you feel. And others too. Center Fresh. Trust.
Sore throats, it's often caused by bacteria and viruses. Feels like they're having a party. You need Strepsils. It soothes the pain, plus it fights the germs with 2 germ-killing actives. Double power in 1 lozenge. Bye-bye sore throat. Take Strepsils.
I need a product that I can really trust to restore my skin's natural glow.
Nivea Natural Fairness Body Lotion containing unique berry extracts and UV protection to restore your natural glow and care for your skin.
Hello. Here to pick up your sister? Mommy? Wow. Such beautiful glowing skin.
Reveal your natural glow with Natural Fairness Body Lotion from Nivea.
Fake news which is shared for malicious purposes is a danger to our peace and security in Nigeria. Misinformation as fake news is a serious threat to our hard-earned democracy and promotes hatred and misunderstanding between our communities. We are all responsible for stopping the spread of fake news in its tracks. So, always check the source and credibility of any news item. Say no to fake news. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
It is good to know you're out there watching News Extra. The federal government September bond auction oversubscribed as the Nigeria Stock Exchange demutualization process receives President Buhari's assent. Let's join Abolade Salami for details of this and other stories in our business news segment.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on the business news segment. The federal government September bond auction was oversubscribed. Total subscription received from bidders for 3 bonds of 5, 7 and 10 years was in excess of 158 billion naira, as against the 90 billion naira auction bond offered in August. Demand at auction concentrated on the 10-year bond that was 313% subscribed. The proceeds of the bond is expected to provide additional financing for the implementation of the 2018 budget. The Managing Director of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, Umar Ibrahim, has been elected the new chairperson of African Regional Committee. The election of Ibrahim marks the second time that Nigeria will lead the IADI African Regional Committee. Authorities, energy experts are suggesting that with the injection of about $200 million into the Nigerian power sector by the African Development Bank, they say this will make the sector flourish.
So the idea is to install mini-grids in underserved areas, especially where the discos are not, have not extended the networks to. There are about 250 sites that are being reviewed, and the idea would be that private sector developers would then bid for those sites in order to build mini-grids in those areas.
Analysts say stocks were traded midweek on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Peak trading ended in the red, depreciating by 0.46% to close the all-share index in 32,963.27 basis points, with a volume of shares traded at 172 million, valued at 2.52 billion naira, which swapped hands in 2,866 deals with 12.3 trillion naira as the market capitalization. Total with 1 naira 1 kobo gain led the table, followed by Zenith Bank, while Dangote Cement with 5 naira loss led the losers table, followed by Stanbic depreciating by 7 kobo per share.
Stock Market Report concludes business news segment. News Extra continues shortly. Please stay with us.
And still talking business, 20 youths in Lagos have been acquiring new skills from the 2018 Global Day for Action initiative as part of the Sustainable Development Goals. Elizabeth Omori reports that the youths were taken to the slums of Bariga for training. On the art of photographs.
Behind me, I'm actually at a community in Bariga called Isale Akoka. This year, some Nigerian photographers decided to converge to click their shooters. They're not only clicking, they're also teaching the youngsters in this community how to take professional shots and also eke a living from photography. Most of the residents live in shacks and most are fishermen hoping for a better day. This is the environment that the photographers are documenting and capturing their life in pictures. This is the way the United Nations chose to commemorate the 3rd anniversary of the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals. 20 youngsters were selected and trained in photography and arts. Youths are using Isale Eko to learn to tell their stories through their lenses and put the spotlight on the challenges confronting their communities.
My focus was my subject, what I thought about and all my feelings about it. The toilet. In this area we have a toilet issue. We're using the toilet on top of the water.
I want to use the camera to gain a profit, to make good of myself and my family.
Bolanle Olumeko, the Knowledge Management Assistant at the United Nations Office in Lagos, speaks on the SDGs Action Network.
Well, photography, like we all know, it's the best form to actually show visuals. It's not enough to just talk about things, but when people are actually seeing the picture of what you're describing or what you're saying, it gives more impact.
The final images will be selected and placed in the world's largest photo book. In Lagos, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
In view of emerging developments in the global financial landscape, the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, says it has adopted new resolution mechanism in resolving failure in financial institutions. This was stated by the Managing Director, NDIC, Umaru Ibrahim, at the International Association of Deposit Insurers Africa Regional Committee workshop held in Lagos.
Regional Committee workshop is aimed at equipping key players in the financial sector with requisite skills and preparedness to tackle any crisis bedeviling the financial sector. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation is charged with the responsibility of implementing the deposit insurance system. The Managing Director, NDIC, Umaru Ibrahim, says they will continue protecting small and unsophisticated savers who constitute the bulk of depositors in Nigeria banking system.
Depending on the gravity of the situation facing any distress or failing bank, you do employ various intervention and measures, which will include like giving emergency liquidity support to the bank, in extreme situations, removing the directors and management, taking over the management and control of the bank.
Secretary General, International Association of Deposit Insurance, IRD, David Walker, and outgoing chairman, John Chikura, spoke on Africa's vision, which they say remains paramount in the International Association of Deposit Insurance, IRD.
The key area in Africa, particularly in Nigeria especially, is mobile money deposits. An issue we're looking at is consumer education in fintech to make sure people understand the differences and the risks involved in these financial products, and also thinking of ways of consumer protection.
The highlight of the workshop was the launch of volumes 12 to 14 of the Banking Report, a document containing reports of judgment relating to banking issues. Since inception, the NDIC has closed over 52 deposit money banks. In Lagos, Amaka Owo, NTA News.
Nigeria, a country desirous of building its own ship, construction materials, water treatment plants, and other manufacturing equipment with 100% local content. How? Now, the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, after a chat with the World Bank, is optimistic that these desires of the country are difficult but possible. Mie Ogidi was privy to the deliberations for the realization of these targets.
3-4 years ago, it was 0.2, 0.3%. Now we have gone to 0.5 and even more.
Still basking in the euphoria of the National Bureau of Statistics rating of 14.85% growth for the first quarter of 2018 in the mining industry, the solid mineral sector is extending its tentacles beyond artisanal mining to the industrial minerals environment, where the nation's industrial flight can successfully take off without depending on others and no longer making Nigeria a dumping ground for finished goods.
Nigeria imports over 72,000 tons of calcium carbonates. At the same time, Nigeria exports limestone. What we require, therefore, is a little touch.
We have no choice but to do it, and I believe we can do it.
This is not a mere rhetoric, but actions as a roadmap on industrial minerals on flagship initiatives on calcium, carbonate, dimension stones, kaolin, and barite is unveiled.
For example, the dimension stone we use, the silica sand we use, and so on in the construction industry. Calcium carbonate can go a long way in solving our water treatment needs.
After monitoring the sector from a distance for the past 3 years, the Global Bank, that is World Bank, gives Nigeria thumbs up, and $123.5 million is set for the realization of this roadmap for the next 5 years.
Delighted that the new government has made the mining sector one of the priorities for diversification along with agriculture. I think it's a very smart move.
Nigeria, a country that is fighting a war from 3 fronts, that is corruption, insecurity, and unemployment. This roadmap will greatly assist in the unemployment aspect of this fight with the provision of direct and indirect jobs. Mie Ogidi, NT News.
A Nigerian state without its languages? Wonder what will become of this beautiful country if the indigenous native languages disappear? Well, don't go away as News Extra returns with the answers and other stories in just a moment.
Really can't wake me for death. As my matter be, it be like he say, person die, person God he can't wake up. Now so really can't wake me from death. But I not get something when they go give you unless thank you. I did get change to make farm. Then he helped me house. The house when I did before, he dey link. Before I born 5 pikin. You know, I don't get food when I go give them. That's why I share them. But now my pikin they near me. Someday with me now. No be like before. I happy. I thank you well. I no see am, but God he go carry my I do a kilometer where I dey.
Madam. Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three put
You are welcome, sir.
As usual, yeah? I was
You take that one. You take that one. You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have? You don't have?
Join the rice revolution today.
no other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice. Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about. Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food. I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobu to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Extraordinary could be right there in front of you without you even knowing it. It's something unique, rich and rewarding, full of character, a bold expression of flavor like no other. Discover extraordinary flavor. Guinness, made of more.
You're welcome back. The Asian tigers are synonymous with entrepreneurial drive in growing their economy, a development many say is not alien to Nigerians, especially with dogged drive for industrialization through the Industrial Training Fund ITF. What has been the achievement since its establishment 46 years ago? How will this fund address issues of foreign dominance in Nigeria's economy, especially at the artisanal level? Talatu Ezirike finds out.
Global interests are mostly that of industrialization, anchored on technical know-how and skill acquisition. This Nigeria takes seriously, especially through the Industrial Training Fund ITF, established 46 years ago in building indigenous trained manpower sufficient to meet the needs of the economy. Nigerians are therefore happy with turnout of events, given the history where foreigners overtook the country's technical works in buildings, construction, and the industrial sector. Interestingly, thousands of Nigerians have benefited from the fund.
Honestly, I have zero idea before I started this whole IT, but now I can actually I can see myself as a reporter.
We go into areas of working relationship that will enable us equip the young Nigerians with skills.
There are concerns on compliance with the ITF 2011 amended Act that stipulates that 1% of annual staff salaries be paid by private companies and government organizations into the fund.
We have
925 trades which were either difficult to fill or hard to fill in the country's labor market. We are advocating that our educational system must embrace the issue of TVET, technical vocational education and training, right from the onset.
If we don't build these competencies, then we are back to square one, and then we continue to import these people back into the country.
All our activities are on the net for people to apply.
No doubt the interest of the fund is to tackle the twin challenge of poverty and unemployment. Talatu Zurike, NTA News.
Many thanks, Talatu. The Co-Marshal Federal Road Safety Commission, Boboye Oyeyemi, has assured prospective candidates who applied for recruitment into the commission of transparency in the exercise. He gave the assurance during his visit to Anambra State. Daniel Opai completes the report.
Co-Marshal, who was in Oka to monitor the ongoing nationwide FRSC recruitment exercise, applauded the level of discipline exhibited by the prospective road safety officers and appreciated other sister agencies who are partnering with the FRSC in the recruitment process.
So far, so good. The exercise is going on. You can see we are very transparent, even though we have a large number of applicants.
Boboye Oyeyemi also said the commission had a modular approach to the exercise to ensure transparency in the recruitment.
You can see that there has not been any negative report. It shows the planning we put in place and the strategy deployed, making sure that just only those shortlisted are invited and everybody is being given equal opportunity to prove himself.
FRSC recruitment criteria.
No nation can develop without taking into consideration its indigenous or native languages. This is what a non-governmental organization known as Hausa Igbo Yoruba and all other languages here is trying to stress. Hassan Lawal Shatima tells us that here is collaborating with the National Orientation Agency, NEMA, and the NTA to do unique things with Nigerian languages.
Nigeria, the most populous African nation with about 200 million people, has more than 500 languages, which he says must be preserved and promoted for national unity and integration. The group believes that Nigerian indigenous languages can be better appreciated through means of communication, interaction, culturalization, and peaceful coexistence.
We're trying to see how we can translate our national symbols, the citizens' civic responsibility. We want to see how we can translate everything into our indigenous languages.
We're designed to be taught in English, and therefore inadvertently throwing away the most important components of culture and meaning and definition of the people of Nigeria.
The non-governmental organization Hausa Igbo Yoruba in other Nigerian languages was established in 2009 with the aim of strengthening Nigerian native languages and dialects. In Kaduna, I am Hassan Lawan Shatima, NTA News.
And on to education now. The Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, says the introduction of advanced diploma in environmental education by the National Teachers Institute is a move towards addressing the environmental challenges facing the country. The minister stated this during the inauguration of the course at the Institute in Kaduna. Haman Jabani reports that 80 pioneer students from Abuja and Kaduna have so far enrolled for the program.
The Advanced Diploma in Environmental Education, which is a one-year program, is a collaborative project between the National Teachers Institute Kaduna and Commonwealth of Learning Canada that would deploy 90% of technology tool as instructional medium and 10% face-to-face tutorial contact for the learners. The program, codenamed Green Teacher Nigeria, is another way of revolutionizing the education sector in the country that will infuse the content of environmental education into the NTI range of NCE, diploma, certificates, and postgraduate diploma in education, as well as bachelor's degree program. Minister of Education Malam Adamu, who was represented, said the program will create greater public awareness about indicators of quality and health environment, as well as what constitute natural and man-made causes of its degradation.
NTI has taken the right decision for targeting teachers in the program. We are all aware that teachers play a pivotal role as catalysts for change in the society today.
The system allows learners to take control of their learning by independently navigating through the instructional packages and performing tasks online and in their own place of work.
The Advanced Diploma in Environmental Education has 4 modules, and it is the first to be run by any teacher training center in the country. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
As the 2019 election spirit is already in the air, the Association of the Nigerian Television Authority Pensioners has joined the electioneering train to choose their leaders for the next 4 years. But their convention is more of get-together after many years of lost contacts after retirement from the service of the NTA. Ahmed Ondas Ahmed was in their midst and now reports on their lives in retirement.
They came in their numbers, and their arrival at the NTA premises is a homecoming of a sort. Even though some of them are aging due to life in retirement, to most of them, life outside public civil service should not be seen as punitive, but a new phase in one's lifetime. As usual, the issues of pension arrears, missing names in pension payroll, 10% severance package, among others, cropped up. The management of the largest television network, the NTA, kept their hopes alive as good news on the payment is in the offing.
They are now owing 8 months arrears from that UN.
Our benefits have not been paid. For example, the 33% which President Jonathan gave us then, NTA or Peter, so to say, they are owing us about 30 months unpaid till date.
We agreed with him that we are going to organize a meeting with the Peter person who is in charge of our organization, so that we have a quarterly meeting with the man, in which from time to time we will bring out issues that are bothering our pensioners.
Meanwhile, the retirees gave some recipients to civil servants who may join their club soon, as planning for the rainy day is the secret of a happy retirement.
I am a poultry farmer, and that is what is keeping me. They should not sit idle that I'm retired and I should sit alone. No, you shouldn't sit alone. It is good to take risk.
They should think twice, and they should work hard towards their retirement, please.
Like what?
Like saving or doing other things before the retirement comes.
At leisure time, I read. So, because keeping the spirit burning.
At the end of the convention, new officials of the association took their oath of office to pilot the affairs for the next 4 years.
We also make sure that if there's any salary increase, pension will be implemented immediately.
It is the prayer of every NTA staff that one day he will retire in peace and good health to join this club of the retirees. The only thing is to plan ahead so that retirement will be a blessing for all of us. Ahmed Ondas Ahmed, NTA News.
Well, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And for sports, there is an unusual story that is sure to brighten your day from the prison yard of Lafia Prison. That's the outlook when we return after the break.
The best teacher.
They hold us from the sea. Thank God that we came back home. They should not go there because it's not good. It's a very bad place. So they just my advice.
Even now, sir, if they are shooting the boat they are going to use to go Italy, may they stop it. Our country is good. Our country is a blessed country. now I know our country is a blessed country. I know before I for not travel from Nigeria to Libya. I know how much I spent.
Let these personal experiences serve as a lesson to all who would repeat their mistakes. A word is enough for the wise.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NT.
Extraordinary could be right there in front of you without you even knowing it. It's something unique, rich and rewarding, full of character, a bold expression of flavor like no other. Discover extraordinary flavor. Guinness, made of more.
Welcome back. It's still NTA News Extra. Rock art. Have you ever heard of it before? Well, as the name implies, it is a form of art that has to do with rocks. It is actually a thriving business here in Nigeria, but not publicized. But not any longer, as the United States has agreed to provide a grant to promote the art. The University of Calabar and the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria are beneficiaries of this grant under the supervision of the National Commission for Monuments and Museums. Uche Ugochukwu tells us about this grant and the real issue of rock art.
Nigeria is a country endowed with diverse cultural treasures that are recognized globally. Rock arts, such as the Iko monolith, Oshobo Sacred Grove sites, and the Duse Meza, are located in different parts of the country, but their potentials are not optimized for economic benefits.
I see it's a big field that by doing this, you have actually opened more collaboration with scientists.
It's a means of developing our tourism potentials to also increase our GDP and improve our income generation from tourism development.
This MOU, jointly signed by the U.S. Trust for African Rock Arts, the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, the University of Calabar, and Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, will help reverse the trend.
With this development, I believe there's going to be massive revitalization of these monoliths, massive reactivation. Some are lying down at the Calabar Museum, so looking dead.
Make sure that the patrimony of Nigeria, the extraordinary museum collections, are curated by people who know everything that we know about curating museums.
The project also aims at building and strengthening a national network better equipped and motivated to pursue conservation and promotion of rock art.
This 16-month project will be executed by the Universities of Calabar and Ahmadu Bello Zaria and funded by the U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
That Africa's newest state, South Sudan, is passing through a turbulent period is no longer news. What appears to be news is the growing attention the world is paying to the quick resolution of the political crisis that has left many in desperate situations. While Nigeria is among countries that is leading this search for a lasting solution, as it demonstrated just that at a meeting held on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Let's get all the gist from our foreign desk correspondent, Makut Simon Macha.
You're welcome. The World Bank has approved $80 million in loan to Somalia, marking the first disbursement to the government in 30 years. The loan is to fund public finance reforms. The world lenders, which suspended ties with the country when war broke out in 1991, resumed support for Somalia in 2003, but did not approve any direct lending to the government. Israel has opened a high-speed rail link between Tel Aviv's International Airport and Jerusalem. The train will cut travel time to about 20 minutes between the airport and a new 80-meter deep underground terminal at the entrance to Jerusalem. From the Democratic Republic of Congo comes the report that health workers involved in tackling Ebola in the city of Benin are resuming their outreach operations following a 2-day suspension due to an attack by rebels. This is at the instance of the WHO, who insists that efforts to control Ebola had to resume because it was spreading to border areas. And a recent bout of heavy fighting in the Libyan capital, Tripoli, has been suspended after warring militias signed a new ceasefire agreement. The UN-backed government said in a statement it welcomed the ceasefire agreement, which was brokered by local representatives and tribal leaders. That's it from here. I am Uche Ugochukwu. The news continues shortly.
We're sorry about that mix-up there. That was actually news on the foreign scene, as brought to you by Uche. Now, this next story may be unusual, but that is what makes news. Now, the mere mention of prison inmates' football competition, dubbed as a version of the World Cup, and other social engagements may evoke some sentimental feelings, depending on the way you look at it. Where reports from Lafia say the inmates of the central prison, established in 1927, happily grabbed the opportunity to dance, relax, and keep fit in tandem with entrenching reforms in the system. Grace Akwe was there.
While the prison discharges its primary responsibility, it also makes the inmates have a sense of belonging. The football competition started a few months ago, this final between those convicted and awaiting trial. The convicted carried the day by scoring a low goal.
Being in prison, but by the grace of God, they've discovered their talent.
Honestly, I thought I'm in a grief, me being in a prison. But whenever I saw when they said this competition is on the line, I said I'll play to my best, and I also thank God with the organization. And
for this office to have organized this is to enable the inmates exercise, to have recreation, so that they need exercises after all to keep them fit.
In Lafia, Grace Akwe, NTA News.
And sports now. Nigeria's the Tigers in first ever quarterfinals of FIBA Women's World Cup as Andy Murray continues build-up in China after injury. Amazi Markers has sports update.